This is Calamus Mark's Spot. I'm the Calamus, middle-aged Southern farming mom from the South.
And I'm Liv, a younger asthmatic girly from the city. And this is a mental health podcast from the South to the city, where we talk about our trips, religion, and experiences. And it'll be full of triggers.
My news is I had to go with Evan on his driving test. And now the person, you go with them, the person doesn't go with them, and they have a camera on the dashboard. And they tell you don't say anything unless there's going to be a wreck. So I was like, okay. So we're going. And she has said to him like 4 times to turn left. And I can see that he has not clocked this at all. So we get up to the intersection, we're getting closer, we're closer. And I don't do well under pressure. And so I go, I didn't want to shout. But I knew he wouldn't look at me because I had told him I can't tell you what to do. So like, don't look at me because I didn't want my face to make him nervous. And I was like, but he got his license. So
Oh, he passed. That is crazy. That's kind of scary. Well, weird that they don't come with you anymore.
yeah. Well, I know why.
Safety for their own lives.
Yes, it was scary.
Okay, so today my older brother, Nick, is here. Hi, Nick.
Hello.
And we have a lot of questions for you today. So
Damn.
we're just gonna go right in. How did you experience parental or familial alienation in the cult?
Uh, a lot. All of it. So the first thing I felt like family and parents were taken away from me, I guess, was when like they announced that I got disfellowshipped, but because my dad instantly, the first thing he said to me next time we talked was like, I just didn't know that you were doing that stuff, and I'm disowning you. And my only response was, I didn't know a parent could say that to a child. He said, well, that's, like what you're supposed to do. So don't contact me for anything um, again. And I was like, what, probably 15 or 16. I want to say I wasn't quite driving yet, so I was probably like 15. And then my mom made sure that, because I told her that, and she made sure that I knew that she wasn't going to say that or do that. And then, I mean, right after that, then everyone that I knew, everyone that I've been friends with, we had lived here for probably 5, 6 years at the time. So everyone that I'd grown up with for the last 5, 6 years. So since I was like 10 until I was like 15, everyone I knew pretty much immediately. I never spoke to them again. And since then, I've spoke to, I would say like one, two, three, four people that I ever knew for like that time. Being in two different congregations, knowing 200 different like people and families or whatever. But yeah, that was like my most like, and it was instant.
Okay, so number one, you did get baptized?
Oh yeah, no, I never did get baptized.
Okay.
And then the next after the convention where everyone was getting baptized, I was part of like a bunch of friends that were. I wasn't part of these friends. It was just kids that I knew, but I was a little bit older than them, so it was like I was. I always felt like I was part of the friends, but like it was their friends, and I was like cool to hang out with them still because I was a little bit older, so I didn't feel like I was like doing it with my friends, but they said no. They said I wasn't allowed to get baptized.
Wow.
So then they have the convention, everyone gets baptized, and then the next one that everyone like goes back to their own like homes is when they said it. But I didn't go because I knew that like to me they said like no you can't get baptized. It's like no you can't be this religion. And I was like okay well then like why am I gonna keep doing it? They said no. But then when my like family went like when my brothers and sisters went with their dad, then they came back and told me that I got disfellowship like from the stage.
What did you get in trouble for in the congregation?
Oh, yeah, that wasn't even the thing. Like, it wasn't like I got in trouble. Like, I was good at not getting in trouble. Everyone else had got in trouble. Caught for drinking, caught for having sex, caught for smoking, caught for. Then it was like even compounded with like, oh, and curfew, and you're underage, so that makes it worse, and all okay, and to me it was like I feel like my mom asked me like, was everybody doing that? And I was like, yeah, everybody's drinking and fucking and smoking. And at the time, I actually wasn't. I didn't drink until like I started driving pretty much, and I didn't smoke until I was 18. And then yeah, I mean, I think I had sex after that for sure. So like when I was like 16 or 17. But up until then, I was appalled because I knew what everyone was doing and I knew what I wasn't doing, and all of those kids got said yes to getting baptized, and they told me no. I was just like, okay, do I blow up the spot and say no one's getting baptized then, or do I just get kicked out of the religion basically? Because I knew what was supposed to happen, like, but I also thought that like all the way up to then, I thought that okay, then it's like, well, just try again. But in my case, I was like, there's no try again. Like I was doing exactly. I was so scared as a child to not do what the religion said you were supposed to do. So I thought that was it. And even if like my parents weren't, which clearly they weren't, they already been divorced. So like you're not allowed to do that. But like okay, I can still do it because I'm not them, but yeah, then when the like elders before the convention where everyone gets baptized, like they did take me in the back room and they're like, "You're not getting baptized, and we're gonna tell you why." And the guy who had the last meeting with me, like they come to your house and they talk to you about different books and stuff, and they like ask you all these questions related to the books and how you feel about it and what that makes you, what's your reaction type thing, and the last question he asked me before he just like said, "Okay," closed the book and got up, put it under his arm, and was like, "Well, we'll talk to you soon." Was, "Have you devoted your life to God?" And I said no because I thought that getting baptized was the devoting your life from that moment forward. Now everything you do in your life is devoted to God. And so I was like being honest, like, no, I have not lived that way. That's the whole point to me. Yeah, I did some stuff and then stop. I get baptized and nothing ever happens again. And he was just like in the back room a couple days later before the convention thing. He was like, yeah, when you said that, I prayed on it and I just wanted to make sure. But when you said you hadn't devoted your life to God, then like, what are you doing this for? And so if you haven't devoted yourself to God by now, then baptism is not going to make you do it. I was like, wow, oh, okay, that's exactly the opposite of what I thought. And so I just sat there and I was just like, they were like, "Do you have anything to say?" And I was just like, "Nope." And they were like, "Okay, yeah, how do you feel?" I was just like, "Okay." And like the dude started crying when he was telling me that. So it was like, and I was a kid who cried so much. I cried all the time. Emotional scars at the time, I cried instantly over them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like something I buried and got mad about or whatever. I was just standing wherever I was, just crying. Pretty much my whole childhood is what I feel like. And then after that, after I walked out of that back room that time, I was like, okay, well, this if they're not gonna believe me, the people that have scared me to believe them so much, and all the people that know me, and like, what do you mean? I, I guess there probably was a time for me to try to like explain that point, but in my mind, they were just telling me what was going on, so there was no explaining. I was just like, "Oh well, you decided then, and that's just how it is. So cool, then you can have it." Basically, like I can figure it out.
You first of all, can we talk about how ridiculous it is that you're asking a child to dedicate their entire life? I got baptized when I was 11, so I understand. But that is mind. That is so out of reasonableness. But you didn't have any thought that like your parents weren't doing it just right.
I did know that I knew that they weren't doing it right. Like it was confirmed. But in front of everyone else did it right, and everyone else in front of them did it right. So when I went to other people's houses and I saw how they were living, and I would just be like, "You can do that?" And like they had money and they had property and they had stuff and they had a bunch of kids in their family and like and I didn't feel like when I went home that we had money and stuff. We had a bunch of people that were sharing everything and like yeah, so it just felt like well they clearly don't know exactly how to do it, but they're trying to do it and these people are maybe trying less to do it and they're still just as involved and important and like yeah, so I don't know.
Well, I have a little antidote I have heard before, and then just recently somebody said it again. And so that when we first, I don't know how, it was probably after our parents got divorced. After that, which was very soon after we moved to Arizona, that we were known, our house was the bad house, and friends.
In Arizona, I believe that in Arizona.
Yeah.
But in North Carolina,
it was only in Arizona where, especially my friends, were their parents were like, no, you shouldn't go over to their house. That's the bad house.
well, I thought that was just because our parents were divorced, so it was like they didn't want any of their kids to be around divorced parents. In my mind, that's what it was. Why people weren't allowed to come over because it was like, plus our dad remarried someone that was in the church, but our mom remarried someone who wasn't in the church. So I knew that that's why they couldn't go there. And that made sense. I was like, okay, yeah. But then at my dad's house, I guess I had less friends that wanted to come over because they didn't like being around my house at my dad's family either.
Mm-hmm. So we really were already stereotyped. So I'm sure that made more argument for you not being able to be baptized. It was just 3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah, I'm sure if that's what everybody thought, then those guys that were asking me questions already had that preconceived notion. And I thought they were coming to me very neutral, like just talking to me as of what we know of each other. But now, actually, I'm realizing it right this second that they already had preconceived notions of my entire life and family and trajectory, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even think about that before. So I thought it was a very personal attack. Like, who were they to tell me? Because literally, I would sit and watch kids get drunk and watch the two of them go off to have sex. And then this kid smokes a cigarette, and I'm just like, well, no, I'm good. And like, yeah, I guess like I wanted to kiss girls, but I didn't actually feel like I thought I was gonna like go take somebody's clothes off. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like I didn't ever think of that at the time, and so yeah.
That has been a common thing though between all of us is that we were all like the best acting kids in our whole group, and we thought we were the worst.
Oh my God, absolutely.
But what about all the foster kids? Did you have a thought about that when you were in the house, Nicholas?
When my mom's family started fostering kids, I thought this is no longer about us. This is no longer about the kids in this family. This is no longer about this family working. Now it's about just taking care of just people, kids, yeah, but like it's not about taking care of your people. This is taking care of all the people, which was funny because that seemed way more along the lines of the religion. But in reality, that didn't happen inside the religion. It only could be with like worldly people. So that meant having all the worst things in your house. And I was like, if that's okay to have all the world in your house, that you're this, then like, okay, taking care of people makes sense more now. But I know it's not about taking care of this family, like your people. It's not like that anymore. I knew at that point that I was gonna have to help my mom be like a third adult in the house, and really the second adult in the house because the first one was working, and then she was a stay at home. So then I knew as soon as we got like the first foster kid that now I wasn't one of the kids anymore, that I was an adult to help with foster kids. And I was so scared of fucking up that I didn't want anything, that the government let kids stay in your house and nothing can happen to them. And I was just like, okay. And it's not like baby proofing, it's like life proofing, because these kids are running around, running their head into stuff anyway. You can't stop that part. So let's try and talk. I don't know, not let them get, it was so much more stuff instantly that happened. My world opened up to the entire world instantly. I guess that is what I felt like too. I didn't even think about like myself, or I thought about making sure the kids that were my family still felt different than the kids that were fostered, but not to let the foster kids know that I felt different to my siblings. So it was a very like kind of like distance relationship from both of them, but then like on the side try and make sure that I nurture this one a little bit more, but also just like have my ear open for whatever the adult thing that what I was supposed to be doing, and try and not pass that stress to any of them, but especially my family. Yeah, that was, I mean, there's probably more I could say about what I instantly felt. Like instantly, I feel like happens a lot to me when I have like this like realization, or somebody like plainly says something like the way that they feel, which is like a big thing for me now. Like I want to just hear you say it, even if I know you feel it, or it's like you clearly are acting and guilty of the symptoms of whatever thing you're pretending not to feel. Like I have no problem just like waiting and saying nothing until the person can say like, I am mad, I am sad, I am hurt, I am scared, I am nervous, whatever. And I don't care what it is, and I'll talk about the next thing. But like that's really big for me. I don't want to continue this conversation all the way down unless you know what you feel like, because I'm not going to tell you what you feel like, because that happened to me, and they told me that I wasn't devoted in my heart to God, and he was my everything. That was all. It was he is him, whatever, all of it. Like in the South, it felt very religious. Everywhere, everyone, it felt like that was the right thing. So okay, if it's going to be weird around me, at least I'll do it. And then the guys who asked me to do it said that I didn't believe it, and I was just like, "Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Then I'm gonna stop telling people that." Like,
Totally. That's so fucked. How was it being a man in the cult? Did you feel like there were differences or that you noticed?
like when I was little, it was like to be like a publisher, and like that's what felt like in the religion. It was just like, yeah, you're a man if you're not doing the bad things, and you're also doing just as many like things in the church, good things in the church. So like, yeah, I knocked on doors when I was probably, I don't know, 6 years old to like talk to people, and like I felt but I thought that's just like what being a good man in the religion was. Like I didn't have any concept of what being a man was. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't, I had a goal like that I had to be something or whatever.
Oh, yeah. And did you notice like how if it was unfair or how unfair it was for women in that cult?
I knew that all the dads would talk and all the moms would talk, but they didn't really talk to each other. So it felt like, I mean, after getting just a little bit older, like it's very easy for me to associate it just with like American 1950s, like middle class, like style soap opera. Like the man does what they're going to do, the dad does what they're going to do, and the mom does what they're going to do and takes care of the kids. And so, like, I mean, housewife was what I thought was women's thing, basically. I knew some like women had jobs and stuff, but it was like, well, they don't care about their family that much or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's so easy. As soon as I, got a little bit older, I was just like, well, that's insane. But it
And
seemed very like that traditional.
how old were you when you realized this ain't it? Was it the baptized?
Yeah, 100%. It was instant when before he left my house. as he stood up to shake my hand and look at me, and because like I knew that wasn't the end of what we were supposed to be talking about, but that was all right. Well, and we'll talk to you soon. I was just like, oh, that was the wrong answer. And so then I was going back and forth, like pacing for 2 days until we had that thing about like, should I have just lied? But if I lied, then I'm a liar, and then I'm not doing the thing anymore. But clearly he wanted me to say that. So I knew that was the right thing to say. Why didn't I just lie? And I'm like, well, because I'm not a liar. And I'm like, well,
Turmoil for a child.
then when he went in the little meeting and said like, yeah, we decided that I prayed on it, and I just I was like, okay, that's done then. Don't worry about it anymore. Like, you do not need to have this type of reaction for me anymore.
Did you have any really embarrassing or have to have any really embarrassing meetings in the back?
I I want to say that that was the third time that I was in there, and the first
Frequent.
the first time I don't remember while I was in there, but I remember my parents made me feel like I was supposed to feel bad. So I don't remember any words. I just remember being like, "Oh shit, I'm getting in trouble." Like, and I like trying not to look at anyone like in the face. And then the next time I was like significantly older, at least like a few years older maybe. And ah man, it was I can't remember. Maybe because I like tried to kiss a girl, or I did, or maybe because I was with all the people that were drinking, and what ended up happening after that was a bunch of them went and had sex, and so like none of them said shit, and I'm the one. I was basically the kid that they were like, "Hey, what happened?" And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm sorry, I was there, and they're like, "Yeah, well." Like this is all unacceptable, and that's not how you get into the kingdom of God and shit. And I'm like, I know.
Just nightmares are made of this. So did you do any dating inside the cult?
Did I do any dating? Yes, I want to say like yes, but after I was out of it, then I dated girls that were in it because like, but like when I was in it, I was very like I didn't want to get caught in trouble. So like if there was a very good reason that the girls that I wanted to be around, like at first it was one girl that I wanted to be around. So we would go like out to eat with their family after, and we would sit in the back of the Applebee's and collect prank calls, and that was our date. Like if we could get to Applebee's together, then we could spend 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours sitting right next to each other, sharing a hand landline headset, and laughing hysterically, and like grabbing each other and hugging and like that kind of thing. But like that was what when I was in the religion, that's the most that I kind of really ever got to be. Any kids that I was friends with that were a little bit older that were going to be around girls, oh man, if I could trick my parents logically enough without lying to be able to hang out with them, then I would be, once we got there, then the girls were older too. And I was like, oh, well, they don't care as much. So if I could talk to them, then I could flirt with them. But I never thought that they were even going to touch me. You know what I mean? Like not even a pat on the shoulder. So I was just practicing my game at that point. And so, yeah.
Yeah,
But
Applebee's was our fucking place. We
yeah,
always got to go to Applebee's, and it was like a little piece of freedom. Like
yeah.
you get to like do some crazy shit, talk.
Plus,
No
there was a
one's
pretty
paying.
girl. Oh, yeah, and there was a pretty girl there. I was going to be there. I was going to the meeting to get to Applebee's so much.
So much. No, and none of the parents would pay attention to you, and you could just run around. It was fantastic.
And they never saw us again. We went around the fucking employee corner and sat in the break chairs and sat at the phone and never came back. So the kids that were running around were getting in trouble, taking all the attention.
Perfect. It was
We were
perfect.
noodling.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, that's so good. What were some things that you thought were normal until you got out of the cult?
I thought it was normal for everybody to lie about everything. I thought it was normal. I still think that. I thought it was normal. No, I don't know.
Did you have any feelings about my parents? Like, why weren't they helping you?
I thought that I was the most annoying child out of five when I was at that house. So like your dad, my uncle, I saw him, but I don't remember him being like around, you know what I mean? Like being part of the time that I spent there. He would come home from work and I remember him playing the drums all the time. It doesn't matter, he was playing the drums and it was the coolest thing to me. But then at a while I was like, well, he I know he doesn't do anything else and that's good because he's not getting in trouble, right? And I'm in the religion like and then I thought your mom thought I was like a really needy child because I literally probably just stood in the middle of whatever room I was in and cried like a lot. So I just remember trying not to, I didn't want her to be mad at me. I didn't want her to yell at me. Um, so that's why I guess I kind of like I don't want to say hid, but I just followed Joey because he wasn't around her. So and then he would go and she would tell him that we could do whatever, and I would just wait for him to say it, and then like wait at the doorway of the room, and then just go. But I didn't feel like they weren't trying to help me. I just felt like they thought like yeah, like clearly he's got problems.
So, yeah, just pretty much lying.
Yeah, I don't know. The normal is like a weird thing. It's hard for me to feel like stuff is normal still now. Like I feel very I always feel like something's about to happen, like drastically change a big thing that I have to do in my life or like that I'm forced to now have to do or stop doing or whatever. So, like my when nothing's going on, when nothing pressing or like extreme or intense is happening is when I feel like, okay, let me make this feel like normal. So I try and do nothing to affect nothing. I'm like, let me just sit and don't move. Go to my house. Don't call anybody. I could just take a nap.
There's not a lot of normal things happening anywhere.
Yeah, so like I don't know, that wasn't a concern of if it was normal. It was a concern to me of like, is everyone gonna stop being around us because I do something bad? Like when we're in the church, like I didn't want people to stop hanging out with my family for it being bad because like, well, my parents were already bad. You know, like as soon as we got there, they got divorced, so it was like my parents were bad. So clearly, I'm gonna make the other kids do something bad. So I was like, well, just don't get somebody in trouble. That's what I thought was the most normal for me was to try and not get somebody in trouble, I guess. Just like be chill.
Yeah, I don't know if you were a part of this at all, but I just remember our mom always saying that her mom hated her because she was a bad decision maker. She always made the wrong decisions. So it just, I don't know when I like actually felt this way, but it just felt like because of our mom is why Katie, your mom and our grandma weren't in our lives. So for me, it was just like oh, well, they already hate us. We don't, why do we keep trying? We just have to forget about them.
Yeah, that's different than me because I felt very in front of not paraded around, but like very forward facing of all the people that we met in the congregation. And you know, not with my aunt, not with your mom, but with my grandma, I felt like she gave me a lot of attention and she like told me a lot of positive things and how much she loved me all the time. And my mom, I felt like did that too, but like when everyone was not having a good time around Mama, I knew that I was still gonna have a good time. Like I never had a problem being around her until a very specific day in Arizona. Now we live, and she's come to stay with us, and I don't remember what she's telling me to do, and I'm just like, absolutely not. And she's like, what did you say to me? And I said, no. And she just goes like, oh. And I was like, kind of laughed and like chuckled. And then it was maybe like a couple hours later, and I was like sitting on the sofa watching TV. Someone was with me. I can't remember who, but she came around the back of the sofa and she told me something. And I was just like, I don't care. And she just, oh, I, I, I don't even have anything to say to you right now. She had a glass of water in her hand. She walks around the sofa, starts going up the stairs, and before like she gets up the stairs where the roof, the second floor is, like she like leaned over and said something else. Said something like, "I should hit you for that," and I was like, "Do it." And she took the glass of water and she tried to pour it on me, and so then I like just kind of like moved a little bit and I just said, "You missed." And she ran back down the stairs and came and choked me up against the wall. And I mean, I was little. She might have took me a little bit off my feet, but I was so surprised that, and she just straight right at me, nothing. And I like got away, moved back up to the get to the book, and I was just like, and she was like, "You little," and I don't remember what she said. And then I was like, "Oh, I never thought that was gonna happen in my life." And now that that happened, then she treated me like a little bit differently, and I was like, "Oh, so that was it. That was okay." Uh because by then, I don't know, I knew her a little bit more from everybody else, I guess, and I was like, okay, she's crazy. But apparently, me and her, we never knew that in our relationship until then, like.
What was your friend sitting on the couch? Were they like, "Oh my god, I have to go home"?
Everyone just kind of like, and I was just watching the show around the room to the wall.
So I feel like Thomas right now, like I can make this a memory that I was sitting on the couch next to him.
It could have been you. It could
But
have been one of my friends. It could have been a different girl that was there. I know there was at least one other person, because after that, I remember just like crawling back over the back of the couch, sitting next to him, like, "Did you see that?"
oh, I love that. Okay, so my favorite part of this whole thing is that I knew you were the favorite, but I didn't know you were the favorite in the whole generational family of everyone, because you're not even close
Well,
to the
and
first
I didn't either,
grandkid.
because I thought Joey was the favorite. So I knew that I wasn't having a bad time as anyone else, but I knew that she liked him more than me still, and I was like, well, I don't know, that's fine. That's fine.
Our grandma liked him the best.
That's what I always felt like. I always felt like she did whatever for him. If she said it, if he said it, she would let us do it. And like I said, I wasn't the kid who asked for shit. I was the one who stood and watched him ask for it, and then we got to do anything and with no one, and nobody checked on us, and it was see you later. Yeah, sure, it sounds good. And I was just like, they said yes.
Oh, so interesting. Oh my god, that is so funny. When we had the foster kids, our mom was still working, right?
Yeah, because I would drive you guys to school because the little girl stole my keys one morning and I couldn't get to you guys to school.
So good for me.
Oh my god. Oh my god. And you know what? I just wanted to be at school more than anything in anyone's life. I just got held back from being at school. Not only in school in my education, but also just physically not being there. Oh, this is my only regret. Can I just go to school more, please?
You can. They have a way you can.
No, no, no. Not anymore. Not anymore.
I know,
I wish
not
I
that.
had
Not that bad. What?
constantly cuss. I wish I had known that because I was constantly cussing out the attendance lady who called to see who y'all were.
No. That was for me. That was for me. I appreciate the shit out of that. You don't even know.
No, and
No,
I couldn't ever tell anybody that the truth, how I felt, that I wanted to be there, because my mom made me feel so guilty for wanting to go to school, which is just ass backwards. Like, you can't get more fucking degenerate than that.
crazy.
I mean, that's just good old redneck, huh?
Just so fucking
You don't need
redneck.
school, baby.
No, come in the kitchen and help me, and then leave me the fuck alone and don't be in my sight.
Let's learn how to bake some blueberry muffins.
Jesus Christ. Um, How do you currently feel about people who still drink the Kool-Aid?
So I've watched a lot of cult shows. I went to like some other religion. I went to a Christian church. I went to a Catholic church. I went to a Mormon church.
Oh yeah.
I went to St. Peter's Basilica. Is that in Mexico City? Yeah, there's a huge, amazing, beautiful, and I toured that and
Did you
uh
sit in on a mass there or whatever it's called?
it's just kind of always going on. And when it's like a public one like that, like people are just always doing it. And
Yeah.
so like yeah, I watched some people do their thing and go light candles and go, kneel and pray and talk. And there was like, I don't know, fathers like the walking around, kind of like a couple of them, just like taking care of stuff and like checking on people and like kind of talking with this one is really intensely something. And like, so the people that are still that one specifically, I feel like have been, what's it called? I don't know, like manipulated so badly, or it's not quite manipulated though, like scared, I guess, or like we're the most vulnerable versions of anyone who turns to religion for any part of religion. That's the most intense Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
But they're looking for it. So I think, I don't know. I just think like if any of them ever said anything to me, I would ask them if they really wanted to know what they're asking me, or if like, because I have had a couple people since not being in the religion that I was really good friends with. One of them called me and he's like, "Man, I need to talk to you for so long, so bad, and I miss you so much. And listen to what just happened in the religion, and like, tell me, is that crazy?" And I was like, "That's crazy, dude." And he was like, "Yeah, I know. That's why they're trying to kick me out because I told them that." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he was just like, he was literally like, "Fuck that." And it was somebody who had went to Bethel and like been working as an assistant. I don't know what, some sort of, he was taking phone calls for one of the like elders, or I don't know what they're called, one of the important people at Bethel. And he called me and he was just like, he told me like, "This is what's going on, this is crazy," and whatever. And then he told me, "Yeah, the dude is deaf." And I was listening to one of the translation calls, and I heard it was between him and his lawyer, and he was like, "This shit is fucked up." And I was like, "Oh, really? Tell me. I wanted to know that." And then, yeah, after that, he was just like, "Yeah, dude. So like, we're getting fucking drunk and high over here, just thinking about you, miss you, love you." And I was
Wow.
like, "Hell yeah, good for you, bro." So like those people, like if they want to contact me again after that like awakening thing, yeah, like I'll talk to you, whatever. But then I've had some people who like talk to me and then they're like, "Cool, yeah," because they already had their version of what they were wanting to do outside of it, and it has nothing to do with me in real life. Like it's, you grow up around a lot of people and you don't end up being around a lot of people all the time. So like that's just what I equate that to. But like I'm not trying to help anybody get out of it. Like they stand on all four corners of around the job that I have. I work downtown at a hotel, and it's like right across the street from the convention center. So it's literally like they're on both sides of the crosswalk, and like,
Do you ever want to go up to him and be like, you know what? I used to have to do it OG style. We went up to people's houses. This is nothing. Yeah.
yeah, you think this fake ass shit is doing it? I do want to do that really bad, and then at the same time, I'm like, I don't want anybody to see me talking to them, especially not the people that I work with. I don't want them to see me talk with them.
Oh, so you don't go around telling everybody you used to be one?
As soon as like when I get to a new job, yeah, it is something that I say in the first like week that I work there. Like something happens and I'll be like, "Well, yeah, that's not something that everybody knows because I was in a weird Colt and I was a kid, so that didn't happen for me. And everyone goes like, "Oh shit, you don't seem like that," and I go like, "Thanks."
I think that's why I love telling people, because they're like, "What? You seem so normal." I'm like,
But sometimes it catches you wrong because I never saw Frosty the Snowman until I went to the Christmas breakfast when my son was in third grade. And I was in tears, like his crying while all these kids are eating their cupcakes. Somebody could have warned me. So sometimes, and the teacher was like, I was like, I've never seen this before. He just melted everywhere like that. It was awful.
Right. No, that's true. Holiday movies did a lot of the emotional carrying for a lot of more kids than us, and we realize for sure. And yeah, oh my goodness, I can't watch TV or a show without crying. It doesn't matter what's happening. As soon as it's sentimental, I cry now.
oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
Oh, I just learned how to do that, so that's really nice.
I'm back to crying again.
Yeah, just learned how to let it out, because I was a champion at swallowing everything down like before it could come out, and that's how you get celiac disease.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's what I did from like, when our parents got divorced, starting then until I would say like until I was 18 maybe. And
Mm-hmm.
then after that I was like, well, now this isn't for anybody else. This is for me now, so I'm going to not care about anybody else. I cared
Yes.
about everybody else this whole time. Let me take a turn.
Yes, and I was very conditioned to not care about myself. So it was like, oh, you definitely need to swallow that up. No one needs to see that. Thank you. And so then therapy, she's like, you gotta learn how to cry whenever you need to cry. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And then I got it now.
Mm.
Sometimes though, still not the time or place. Okay, here's my question for both of you. What's the real story about Armageddon?
What?
Because I only know so much, and this is the question all of my clients ask me, and it sounds bogus. And so I catch myself, and then I'm like, I'm not really sure. Like the whole pitch of to be in the religion.
Okay.
So
Are you ready?
yes.
Okay, but I don't know the new version. I only
know no, we're talking about
if they're gonna make a new version, bro, what?
What?
So we'll just use
There, I guess other people refer to it as like when Jesus comes back, but the way it was sold to us is that it's gonna be like uh kind of like when the Nazis had concentration camps, but like we're going to be the ones who are persecuted, and it's going to be miserable and horrible for we don't know how long. But then God is going to step in and be like, that's it. And then we get to live on the earth and make it a paradise, which now that I've been informing doesn't sound nearly as good. Go ahead.
It doesn't, Armageddon doesn't start when the last 144,000 person dies on earth.
That's part of it, but like
it has to happen by then is the kind of the rule.
So that, we're gonna get treated like shit, and then the person has to die within that.
Well, no, I can't remember. I think Armageddon before they all died, but I don't think like there's a like maybe one could be left, maybe 10 could be left. I don't know what the rules are about how many have to be left. Then once God said no more, he was going to destroy everybody but us.
Okay,
and then that to rebuild the earth.
That just brings up something that I do remember from the religion, that every once in a while someone would come around and they would say, oh, this person is, they didn't say he was anointed, or did they?
If you ate or drank at memorial, then you were anointed.
And that was like the people that supposedly were definitely going to heaven.
Yes, they were going to be the kings and judges of the people on the earth.
Oh.
Right. So I remember every once in a while my mom telling me like, oh, that person is, or like, we would see them or they would come to town or something. It was like they were in, your area. So you had a special like talk by them or something. And so then, yeah, that was by the end of it, like it's just going to the world is going to get worse and worse and worse things are going to happen. And then, yeah, there's going to be okay, that's enough. Now we're going to restart the earth without all those people.
Yes. But
Just
that's why we
perfect.
were encouraged to get education, because we were encouraged to do things that would help build the earth back. So farming, built carpentry, stuff like that.
And that's why I wanted to be a carpenter. That's what I wanted to do.
Jesus. So
My grandpa was. That's really why. And that was the most amazing. You could build yourself a house to live in and your family could live in it. I'll do that.
and let's be real, that's why our dad got sold on the whole fucking thing, is because now his new father-in-law is like got everything. Like, it sounds so fucking good. Don't even try to tell me that was not a selling point.
Oh, that's a dad?
A dad.
You get a dad?
A whole dad.
Somebody give you a dad? That's a great selling point.
You go with them. So then we need to talk about who's getting resurrected. Is there a fine line on this? Is it like everyone who just loves God? Is it everyone who's considered a Christian? Like, which part?
No. Anybody who died as a child or before they were baptized, you get a free car. You get a free pass until you were of an age to make a choice. I don't know what the age was, because I feel like kind of 11 was a little bit too young, but
right.
But definitely 18. Then you're on your own. Your actions are your own, and if you sin, you're out of here. And so then only people who were faithful until they died would be resurrected, or like I said, people who died as children or before they were 18.
Which means in the cult.
In the cult. We can't fill up this earth too fast. We got to pare way down.
Okay.
Way down.
Okay. Because I was also not paying very good attention, but it just seemed like it was this is the part that will confuse me so much, is when people would talk about being Christian and then they'd be in the cult and they would use the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they're different because there are lots of Christians on the earth. So we don't use terminology that everyone else used. So when they would throw a Christian in there, I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to be. So then when they said Christians will be resurrected, I'm like, oh, we're talking about all the Christians on the earth, or we're just going to pretend like you don't get that term. That one is a everybody term.
Even they knew about overpopulation. They're like, no.
And the religion only started, in the 20s? So if you were born before the 20s, SOL, sorry.
Okay.
Not coming
right.
back.
I'm glad we cleared that up. That one was always real scary.
The old heads, that's for sure. None.
They weren't good enough for sure anyway.
No. They're not.
I just wonder, like, if somebody from then saw all this shit and was like, I'm not quitting smoking cigarettes. I'm not doing that for you.
They used to smoke cigarettes at the meetings.
That's what I mean. Like, for somebody to time travel and be like, oh, I'm not doing that shit. You're not making me do that shit.
Shave my beard, what?
Oh, but it's back now. Don't worry. We just had a little time, a little gap.
I've heard of some things that have changed, but I don't mean.
Women can wear pants. Men don't have to wear ties. You can grow a whole ass beard.
I knew that.
What else, Katie? Bring it home.
Well, you don't have to go do the knocking.
You don't have to go do the knocking. I mean, this is a real cake.
We're just coasting at this point.
Yeah.
Or is the world really trying to make it bad for them anymore? Or is it really getting worse for everybody? Because it seems like you just made it a whole lot easier.
I'm feeling like this is a real bunt into the kingdom, and I'm going to need for them to.
Oh my God. Yes, you have a question. Go ahead.
If you could have free, unlimited service for 5 years from a cook, a housekeeper, a secretary, or a chauffeur, who would you pick?
Cook.
A cook? I'm getting a housekeeper for sure.
I'm getting a cook for sure.
Oh, cooks.
You know what?
That's how I know y'all don't got kids.
That is exactly how.
A cook or a secretary, I guess.
What are they going to do? I'd like to be busy.
No.
I'm too busy. I don't want to do the food part. Just let me know when.
I would do so much more of the business part of life with a secretary. And then I could afford to have a personal chef. So I think a secretary, maybe my money manager would be better.
There we go.
And Katie?
Yes. Oh, are you ready for my mom minute?
No, what's yours?
Oh, a housekeeper for sure. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I tell you get the free one and then also pay another one? Please, the free game.
Oh, good. Okay, what about mom moment? Do you have one of those?
Okay. I got some feedback about the last podcast, just so you know. I don't know if you downloaded the numbers or not. So I just want to let all the moms out there know that I heard you say it nice the first 10 times, and those kids are acting like their other parent, and there's nothing you could do. You deserve to be able to yell at them like that.
That's good.
I'm sorry, I don't have kids, but I think kids do need to hear a yell every once in a while.
They just need to know the potential. They need to know exactly who they're messing with.
Papa Robinson always said you should always talk to a kid, but sometimes you have to get their attention first. And he usually got that by smacking the shit out of you.
That's great. Oh my God.
Are you
This is
gonna have
definitely
kids, Nick?
no. I'm not. I'm not.
You're out on this.
I did the kids thing when I was a kid, and that wasn't something that made me think, oh, like let me do it again or better, or like I did as best as I could do then, and
Not getting any better now.
the outcomes were not great. And I mean, like the kids that I was worried about when I was young, the only ones that I care about is like my brother and sister, is talking to them still. The other kids that I came in contact with, you're on your own, bud. Like,
That's a lot of responsibility.
yeah, so you got to do some of it yourself. And like, even my friends that are like a little bit younger, if they want to talk to me about like, what should I do? I'm like, fuck if I know, bro. So they're like, well, I mean, like, but you know about that. I'm like, yeah, I know about that because I did it. So fucking do it. Like,
That's a big thing that I say is like, what do I know about healthy? Maybe you should do that. I'm like trying to convince them maybe what would be a version to do that, because have you looked at it this way? And then halfway through, I'm like, what do I know about healthy? Go ahead, try it. Your way might be perfectly fine. Let me just stop myself. It sounded really good in the beginning, and now I'm like, nah, what do I know?
Let's do a peer research paper together on this subject.
Oh my God. Let's do one of those the Venn diagram.
Start with that.
Yeah. Don't know shit about fuck. Done this a couple times. Never done it in my whole life. Yeah, so that's good. Okay, that's it.
From the South to the city.
Don't be shitty.